We're in a conversation with Kerala Finance Minister Dr. Thomas Isaac. So thank you so much for joining us, as always, after the GST Council meeting. We've had the first day of deliberations. We understand 2 or 3 important topics. One, the IGST. But let me just ask you about the first area of discussions, which was sector-specific issues which were brought up. And it appears that the centre is trying to convince you that certain services do need to remain exclusively with the centre.
Well, it is not service particularly.
Right.
A major dispute between centre and states broke out today, and it was debated for 2 hours and couldn't result in a conclusion.
Right.
This pertains to the taxation powers in the territorial waters of India.
Absolutely.
Now, for the purpose of law and order, for fisheries, and also taxation, the state governments tax the supplies to a ship, the fuel supply, ship or trade on high seas. Now, centre in this model GST law has defined the territorial waters to be included in the union territory, which means the state loses the power to tax there. And now that is not acceptable to any of the states. Some states like Gujarat would lose something like 1,200 crores. It is not even VAT, sale tax. And with this law is passed, they won't have the right to do that.
We understand that this is part of the constitutional provisions. Is it something which can still be corrected in the in the IGST law or in the state GST law?
Well, constitution is not very, very clear. There have been court cases, and most of the judgments, all the judgments have been in favor of the states. But now centre has gone appeal, and appeal is pending in Supreme Court. Supreme Court, centre versus state of Karnataka. But the fact remains, states, all states, coastal states, have been exercising this fiscal right to tax higher trade on the high seas. And now to unilaterally abrogate it, how can it be accepted?
You've got this is all, of course, without even the dual control issue being discussed. But the other aspects of which you also have mentioned, which is an area of discussion, is with regard to the IGST and, of course, on the question of, if you can just talk about any progress which has been made on the IGST front as well.
Well, on IGST, the model law has been accepted. Right. But key issue of who will administer the IGST still remains open. Right. Central government wants to have the exclusive right to implement IGST. Right. But states would demand it be under the dual control.
So for our viewers, just to elaborate, the section 269A, if I'm citing correctly, that appears to give the power of IGST solely to the government of India. Is that, it's again a constitutional issue which the centre seems to have brought up. Is it something you can get around?
Well, now interstate trade is regulated by central sale tax. It is called even central sale tax. And centre has made the law, but states collect the tax and administer tax. IGST is brought in lieu of CST. CST ceases to be. And there is nothing to prevent the centre from creating a law under this constitution, empowering the states also to administer IGST.
Now, so, you've got the question of dual control, like you were saying, that's supposed to be taken up tomorrow. 3 meetings have, passed where this issue was brought up. And, 2 or 3 specific issues are under discussion. There's the question of administering services, where the centre wants, control of the services. Then you've got the question of how you split it, whether it's a threshold like the states have suggested. Do you see any scope for possibly a middle ground here? Because you've continuously maintained in all of the times we've had this conversation that the 1.5 crore rupee threshold is non-negotiable.
Centre had agreed upon this 1.5 crores turnover for goods dealers. that all dealers below 1.5 crore, because center has no experience in dealing with small traders or goods tax, that they would be entirely under the state. And above 1.5 crores, there would be dual control. That was one of the decision made in the first meeting.
Right.
Then, towards the end of that meeting, there was people were hurried to go, and so it was stated that center would administer service tax. But at that time, I had raised immediately a question: how do you deal with deemed goods, like works contract and so on? So then there are many areas where it is very difficult to distinguish between service and goods. So later in the meeting, we raised it. In the next meeting, we raised service. By then, the center went back on its position. They wanted dual control in the entire goods sector and service sector, from top to bottom, irrespective of size. And they wanted exclusive domain of IGST. Now that would have marginalized states' administrative authority entirely. So states' position now, I don't know how many states will finally stand up. But Kerala definitely will stick to that position. That below 1.5, whether it be in IGST, services or goods, it would be the domain of these states.
So you phrased that sentence very interestingly, because you have said that you will retain your demand, but there is possibly now a section of the states which are saying that we may be agreeable to have full dual control. How is the mood in the council?
Well, given the relative the kind of decision procedures instituted for the council, you need to have 75% of the votes for a decision.
That's right.
So, of the 41 votes, center would have 10 votes.
Right.
So they would require another 20 votes to carry through the motion.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.